All last year, prominent Democrats, congressmen, media hacks, activists, and officials called for explicitly defunding the police, not reforming the police, not retraining the police, no, defunding the police. And then many of them went ahead and did it. And then, shocking exactly no one with an IQ higher than 4, violent crime shot up in just about every major city. And Democrats started struggling to win local and state elections because, as it turns out, minority communities don't actually want to defund the police and risk their kids getting hit by a stray bullet on the way to school, because now there's no one standing between them and the gangbangers. So now that elections are on the line and this stupid riff isn't panning out the way they for some reason thought it would, the left is pretending that they never actually wanted to defund the police, saying it was actually those dirty, rotten Republicans and their spending bills or something. So now let's review the footage, shall we? Because the left owns this all the way.
So yes, I support the defund movement. And now is the time to defund the police and invest in community.
Not only do we need to defund, but we need to dismantle and start anew.
There's some issues that we ask police to do, like mental health issues or policing in schools and all the rest, that perhaps we can shuffle some of that money around.
We propose to redirect over $7 million from the Police Bureau.
And they actually think you are stupid enough not to know it. The left spent a year calling to defund the police, from shouting it through megaphones in the street to whining about it on CNN and social media, to actually trying to ram bills through Congress to strip law enforcement of federal funding. And it went over like a lead balloon. Crime went up, public support went down. And now White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is trying to convince everyone that it was actually the Republicans who wanted to defund the police.
Well, the president did mention that the American Rescue Plan, the state and local funding, something that was supported by the president, a lot of Democrats who supported and voted for the bill, could help ensure local cops were kept on the beat in communities across the country. As you know, didn't receive a single Republican vote after Republicans spent decades trying to cut the cops program. There's record of that. That doesn't require anyone having new comments, and then also stood in the way of crucial funding needed to prevent the laying off of police officers as crimes increased. I think actions speak louder than words, Peter. So if you oppose funding for the cops program, something that was dramatically cut by the prior administration and many Republicans supported, and then you vote against a bill that has funding for the cops program, we can let other people evaluate what that means.
No. No. This whole gaslighting thing you're trying, where you're blaming the right and making it look like Republicans were the ones wanting to defund the police all along, no. That's going to stick like 10-year-old tape on the inside of a wet swimming pool. It is not anyone else's fault that y'all decided to hitch your proverbial cart to such a toxic political horse, especially one so obviously stupid. The left owns this. Democrats own this. You allowed thousands, millions even, of violent Marxist activists to blow through our city streets screaming that all cops are racist, fry 'em like bacon. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey got physically chased out of a rally because he wouldn't commit to completely dismantling the city's police department. And it wasn't by a bunch of conservatives wearing Second Amendment gear with Trump stickers on their bumpers. And leftist politicians and media hacks and analysts were all too happy to jump on the bandwagon when they thought defund the police was a catchy slogan. Because see, being edgy and glomming on to the latest woke hashtag trend is now more important than thinking rationally and caring about good public policy. But you know, you can have all the one-liners on cable news that you want. You can stand there in front of a bunch of progressive radicals and bask in the applause for about 5 minutes. Doesn't make what you said smart. Doesn't make defund the police a viable platform. And it sure as heck doesn't mean the people in the communities that you are claiming to support actually want it. And why would they, when all it leads to is more violent crime? In New York City, the murder rate rose by 45% in 2020 and is up another 17% so far this year. In Oakland, homicides are up 215%. In LA, they're up 22%. Austin, Texas, the murder rate's up 200%. Aggravated assaults are up 36%. Car thefts are up 77%. All cities that stripped their local police departments of funding and are now scrambling to put some of it back. Even the New York Times, which isn't exactly a right-wing love fest, reports that homicide rates in large cities were up more than 30% on average last year and up another 24% for the beginning of this year. Guys, Stevie Wonder could have seen this coming. And now it turns out that this whole defund the police bullcrap was a political third rail after all. Democrats all across the country are complaining that they're losing mayoral races and struggling for congressional seats because they've lost Black and Hispanic voters who don't want to defund the police because their neighborhoods are the ones paying the price for it. The Boston Globe reports, quote, polling by the Manhattan Institute finds that among Black New Yorkers, only 17% wanted to decrease the number of police officers in their neighborhoods, while 62% would like to see stepped-up policing of quality of life issues such as graffiti and public urination. You think? Who wants the sidewalks to smell like pee? But see, the left didn't bother to ask the people who'd actually be affected by this insanity. They were too busy trying to get viral sound bites on Twitter. But now that we've got stabbings and shootings on just about every urban street corner and people getting killed in broad daylight on the subway and in Times Square, now that minority communities are seeing a rise in crime because there aren't enough cops in their neighborhoods, and people are getting pretty pissed about it. Oh, now all of a sudden, Democrats have to pretend that, oh, they never wanted to defund the police. That was those dirty, rotten Republicans and their unwillingness to support socialism or something. Just how stupid do you think the American people are? I know you like to pander to the lowest common denominator. I mean, it's not like our best and brightest are tuning into Brian Stelter every single night. I get it. We've got a few duds out there. But seriously? We had you fools on tape for a year backing this play, calling to take millions of dollars from local police departments and using it to fund unarmed violence interrupters who were supposed to show up to the scene of an ongoing crime and convince everyone to just hug it out and pass around Feely the Share Bear or whatever. Rashida Tlaib and Ayanna Pressley, those are two Democrat congresswomen, by the way, introduced a bill in Congress that would have stripped federal funding from police departments and put it into healthcare, education, and environmental housing programs. It was called the Breathe Act. It literally would have defunded the police. And those who weren't explicitly calling to defund the police, like Joe Biden, for instance, were at the very least giving a tacit wink and a nod to those who were. Y'all marched with them in the streets, for heaven's sake. We are not so dumb that we have forgotten this. We are not so stupid that you can convince us that you didn't royally step in it for this whole past year, only to find yourself with egg all over your face now that innocent little kids are narrowly avoiding getting blown away while walking to the bodega at 2 in the afternoon, or people getting stabbed with ice picks while handing out campaign pamphlets. The left owns this, top to bottom. And if you're looking down the barrel of election problems because you piled all your eggs into the moron basket, that is no one's fault but your own. And that's your Reality Check, America. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube and Rumble pages, like us on Facebook and Twitter, and stay sane out there.